Mia Thompson had always found solace in the rhythm of her daily life as a nurse at St. Michael's Hospital. The bustling corridors, the hum of medical equipment, and the constant flurry of activity provided a sense of purpose that she cherished. Every day was a new opportunity to make a difference, to ease someone's pain, and to offer comfort in their most vulnerable moments. As she navigated the chaos of the emergency room, her dedication shone through in her interactions with patients and colleagues alike. Her shift began with the usual morning briefing, where the head nurse outlined the day's expected challenges. Mia listened intently, her dark eyes scanning the faces of her fellow nurses, each one reflecting a mix of determination and exhaustion. They were a tight-knit team, bonded by the shared weight of their responsibilities. Mia felt a sense of pride in being part of this group, each member playing a crucial role in the hospital's operation. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear. As the day wore on, Mia moved from room to room, tending to patients with a blend of professionalism and compassion. She had a natural ability to connect with people, to see beyond their ailments and into their hearts. Her patients often commented on her warmth, the way she listened as if their stories mattered, which they did. Each interaction reinforced her belief that healing was not just about medicine, but also about human connection. But beneath her calm exterior, Mia carried her own burdens. She had grown up in a rough neighborhood, witnessing the struggles of her community. It had instilled in her a strong moral compass, a desire to uplift those around her. She often thought back to her childhood, to the nights spent studying under the dim light of a street lamp, dreaming of a life where she could make a difference. Nursing was her path, and she was determined to follow it. The emergency room was particularly busy that afternoon, with the sounds of sirens wailing outside and the steady stream of patients flooding in. Mia was in the middle of comforting an elderly man who had fallen and injured his hip when the doors swung open and chaos erupted. A group of paramedics rushed in, wheeling in a gurney with a man lying unconscious, blood seeping from a head wound. Mia's heart raced as she caught a glimpse of the patient. He was tall and imposing, with dark features that hinted at a foreign heritage. His clothes were expensive but stained with blood, and a sense of danger emanated from him, palpable and electrifying. She felt a strange pull, a magnetic force that made her heart skip a beat. "Get me a trauma team!" shouted one of the paramedics, his voice cutting through the noise of the ER. Mia sprang into action, her instincts kicking in as she joined her colleagues in assessing the situation. As they worked to stabilize the man, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to him than met the eye. The way he lay there, unconscious, spoke volumes about the life he led. She caught snippets of conversation among the medical staff, whispers of Bratva and Russian mob, which only deepened her intrigue. "Prepare for intubation," the lead doctor commanded, and Mia moved to assist, her hands steady and sure. She was focused, but her mind raced with questions. Who was this man? What had happened to him? As they worked, she felt a strange connection to him, as if their fates were somehow intertwined. It was absurd, she thought, but the intensity of the moment made everything else fade away. "Hold his head still," the doctor barked, and Mia complied, her fingers brushing against his skin. It was a fleeting touch, but it sent a jolt through her, igniting an unexpected spark. She couldn't help but notice how striking he was, even in his unconscious state. His dark hair was tousled, and his chiseled jawline gave him an air of authority that was hard to ignore. Just as they finished intubating him, the man suddenly convulsed, his body jerking as he fought against the restraints. Mia's heart raced, and she felt a surge of adrenaline as she leaned closer, trying to calm him. "You're safe," she whispered, though she knew he couldn't hear her. "We're here to help you." But then, As if the universe had conspired against them, Victor's eyes flew open, revealing a piercing gaze that seemed to cut through the chaos. For a moment, their eyes locked, and Mia felt as if the world had narrowed down to just the two of them. The intensity of his stare was disarming, and she was struck by the raw vulnerability hidden behind his fierce exterior. "Get off me!" he growled, his voice low and menacing, a stark contrast to the fear that had just coursed through his body. Mia froze, caught off guard by the sudden shift in his demeanor. She could sense the danger radiating from him, but there was also a flicker of something else, an unspoken plea for help that tugged at her heart. "Victor!" a voice shouted from the entrance, and Mia turned to see a group of men in dark suits pushing their way through the ER. They were imposing figures, their presence filling the room with an air of authority and intimidation. "Where is he?" one of them demanded, scanning the room with a predatory gaze. Mia's pulse quickened as she realized the man they were searching for was the one she had just been tending to. She felt a rush of panic as she looked back at Victor, who was now struggling against the restraints, his eyes wide with fear and anger. "Stay back," she shouted, stepping protectively in front of him, her instincts kicking in. She had no idea who these men were, but she knew she had to protect him, even if it meant putting herself in danger. "Let him go," one of the men barked, his voice dripping with authority. "He's coming with us." Mia shook her head, her heart racing as she stood her ground. "He needs medical attention. You can't just take him like this." The men exchanged glances, and she could see the tension in the air. They were clearly not accustomed to being challenged, and she felt the weight of their scrutiny. But she couldn't back down now. She had spent her life fighting for those who couldn't fight for themselves, and she wouldn't let that change in the face of danger. "Move aside, nurse," one of them warned, stepping closer. "You don't know who you're dealing with." But she did know, or at least she had an inkling. The name Bratva carried weight, and the stories surrounding it were enough to send shivers down anyone's spine. Yet, in that moment, all she could think about was Victor, the man behind the reputation. "Please," she implored, her voice steady despite the fear coursing through her veins. "He's not just a criminal, he's a person who needs help." The men hesitated, and for a brief moment Mia thought she might have reached them. But then Victor's body went limp, and her attention snapped back to him as he collapsed once more, his eyes fluttering shut. "Victor!" she cried out, rushing to his side as panic surged through her. The men moved forward, but she positioned herself protectively over him, her heart pounding in her chest. "Get a doctor!" one of the men shouted, but Mia didn't move. She was torn, caught between the duty to save a life and the instinct to protect herself from the dangers that lurked just beyond the sterile walls of the hospital. Just then, Victor's eyes opened again, but this time they were filled with confusion and pain. "Help me," he whispered, his voice barely audible. In that moment, something shifted within Mia. She felt the weight of his plea, the raw desperation in his gaze. It was a call for help that transcended the dangerous world he inhabited. She knew that helping him could lead her into the depths of a life she had never wanted, but the connection they shared was undeniable. With a deep breath, she made her decision. "I'll help you," she promised, her voice firm and resolute. "But you have to trust me." As she began to work on stabilizing him once more, she felt the tension in the room shift. The men watched closely, their expressions unreadable, but she could sense their impatience growing. Every moment felt like a countdown, and she knew she had to act quickly. "Get him out of here," one of the men shouted, but Mia's focus remained solely on Victor, her heart pounding as she fought against the clock. "Stay with me, Victor," she urged, her hands moving swiftly as she monitored his vitals. "You're going to be okay, just hold on." But the reality of the situation weighed heavily on her. She was now entangled in a world she had never asked to be a part of, and the consequences of her actions loomed large. Yet, as she looked into Victor's eyes, she felt a flicker of hope. In that moment, she understood that their fates were intertwined, and she was willing to fight for him, no matter the cost. As the tension in the room reached a boiling point, Mia's resolve solidified. She had made her choice, and there was no turning back. The stakes were high, but so was the connection she felt with Victor, a connection that would change everything. Just as she prepared to take the next step, the doors of the emergency room burst open once more, and the chaos that followed would change the course of their lives forever. Mia's heart raced as she knelt beside Victor, her hands working quickly yet carefully to stabilize him. The chaos of the emergency room faded into the background, replaced by the urgency of the moment. She could feel the weight of his gaze, heavy with a mixture of pain and vulnerability. Despite the danger that surrounded him, there was something undeniably magnetic about him, something that stirred emotions within her that she had never anticipated. "Stay with me, Victor," she urged, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "You need to breathe. Focus on my voice." The room was filled with tension as Victor's men stood at the entrance, their expressions a mix of concern and impatience. They were accustomed to commanding respect, but now they were powerless witnesses to a scene that threatened to unravel their carefully constructed world. Mia could sense their unease, and it only fueled her determination. She had to save him, not just for the sake of his life, but for the connection that had sparked between them in such a short time. "Get him out of here," one of the men barked again, his voice echoing against the sterile walls. But Mia held her ground, her focus unwavering. She could see the desperation in Victor's eyes, and it ignited a fierce protectiveness within her. "Just a little longer," she whispered, adjusting the IV line with trembling fingers. "You're going to be okay." As she worked, flashes of Victor's world flickered through her mind. Dark alleys, whispered threats, and the weight of power that came with being a Bratva boss. She had never wanted any part of that life, yet here she was, drawn into a web of danger and intrigue. The reality of her situation was daunting, but the connection she felt with Victor was undeniable. It was a bond that transcended the chaos, a flicker of light in the darkness that surrounded them. "Why are you helping me?" Victor's voice was strained, barely above a whisper. His eyes searched hers, and in that moment, Mia saw a glimpse of the man behind the ruthless exterior, the man who had been forced into a life of violence and control. "Because I can't just let you die," she replied, her voice firm. "You may be a part of that world, but I see you. I see the man underneath." His eyes widened slightly, and for a moment she thought she saw a flicker of gratitude, mixed with something deeper, something that hinted at the vulnerability he had kept locked away. But before she could delve deeper into that connection, the door swung open again, and two more of Victor's men rushed in, their expressions frantic. "Where is he?" one of them demanded, scanning the room until his gaze landed on Mia and Victor. "What's happening?" "Get back," Mia shouted, her protective instincts kicking in. "He needs space. I'm trying to help him." The men hesitated, glancing between her and Victor, their loyalty to their boss battling with their instinct to take control of the situation. Mia could see the conflict in their eyes, but she couldn't allow them to interfere. She needed to finish stabilizing Victor before they could whisk him away into the shadows of his world. "Let her work," Victor rasped, his voice hoarse but authoritative. "I trust her." The men exchanged glances, their expressions shifting from skepticism to reluctant acceptance. Mia felt a rush of relief wash over her, knowing that Victor's trust in her was a fragile thread that could easily snap under pressure. She returned her focus to him, feeling the warmth of his hand beneath hers as she monitored his pulse. "Victor, I need you to stay with me," she urged, her voice softer now. "You've been through a lot. Just keep your eyes on me." As the seconds ticked by, she could feel the tension in the room begin to shift. Victor's breathing steadied, and she felt a flicker of hope. Yet she was acutely aware that their time was limited. The threat of his enemies loomed just outside the walls of the hospital, and she was caught in the middle of a dangerous game she had never asked to play. "Why are you here?" Victor asked suddenly, his eyes locking onto hers with an intensity that made her heart skip a beat. "Why did you choose to help me?" Mia hesitated, searching for the right words. "I don't know," she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. "Maybe because I see something in you that you don't see in yourself. You're not just a boss or a criminal. There's more to you, Victor." His gaze softened, and for a fleeting moment she thought she saw a flicker of vulnerability in his eyes. "No one has ever looked at me like that," he replied, his voice low and filled with unguarded honesty. "Not in a long time." The weight of his words hung in the air, and Mia felt a surge of emotion welling up inside her. It was a dangerous game they were playing, but there was something undeniably powerful about their connection, something that pulled her closer to him even as the world outside threatened to tear them apart. Just then, the door burst open once more, and a doctor rushed in, her expression a mix of urgency and authority. "What's going on here?" she demanded, her eyes darting to Victor's pale face. "We need to move him to surgery immediately." Mia felt a pang of frustration at the interruption. She had just begun to break through Victor's defenses, and now they were about to be pulled apart. "He's stable," she insisted, her voice rising slightly. "He needs time." "Now," the doctor interjected, her tone leaving no room for argument. "We can't risk any more complications." Mia's heart sank as the reality of the situation hit her. They were running out of time, and she was powerless to stop it. "Victor," she said urgently, leaning closer to him, "you have to trust me. I'll be right here when you wake up." He nodded, his expression resolute despite the pain etched across his features. "I will find you," he promised, his voice barely above a whisper, "no matter what." As they prepared to move him, Mia felt a surge of desperation. She had entered his world by chance, but now it felt like fate had drawn her into a dangerous dance that neither of them could escape. She watched as they wheeled him away, her heart heavy with uncertainty. Would she truly see him again? Would he be safe? The moment Victor disappeared behind the double doors, a sense of loss washed over her. She had been thrust into a world of shadows, and the connection they shared felt like a fragile thread that could snap at any moment. But she had made her choice, and now she had to navigate the aftermath of that decision. As she returned to her duties, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that her life had irrevocably changed. The hospital buzzed around her, but she felt detached, her mind consumed by thoughts of Victor. She could still feel the warmth of his hand in hers, the intensity of his gaze burning into her memory. It was a connection that defied logic, a bond forged in chaos and uncertainty. Hours passed, each moment stretching into eternity as she tended to her patients, yet her thoughts kept drifting back to Victor, the man behind the facade, the enigma that had captivated her heart. She knew that she was now entangled in a world of danger, and the stakes were higher than ever. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the city, Mia found herself standing in the hospital's break room, staring out the window at the bustling streets below. The world outside felt so ordinary, so far removed from the chaos of the day. But inside, she felt a storm brewing, a mix of fear, longing, and an undeniable pull towards Victor. Just then, her phone buzzed on the table, breaking her reverie. She picked it up, her heart racing as she saw an unknown number flashing on the screen. Hesitantly, she answered, her voice steady despite the uncertainty. "Hello?" "Mia," a deep voice replied, sending a shiver down her spine. "It's Victor." Her breath caught in her throat, and she felt a rush of emotions flood through her. "Victor, you're okay?" "I'm fine," he assured her, the warmth of his voice wrapped around her like a comforting embrace. "I wanted to let you know that I'm out of surgery. They said I'll recover, but I need you to understand something." "What is it?" she asked, her heart pounding in her chest. "I'm in a world that's dangerous, Mia. You need to be careful. My enemies are everywhere, and I can't guarantee your safety if you're involved with me." His words sent a chill down her spine, and she felt a wave of fear wash over her. "I don't care about that," she replied, her voice firm. "I want to help you. I can't just walk away." There was a pause on the other end, and she could hear the tension in his silence. "You don't understand, do you? This isn't just a game. It's life or death." "I know," she insisted, her determination unwavering. "But I can't just abandon you. You're not just a criminal to me, Victor. You're more." The vulnerability in his voice softened her resolve, and she could sense the weight of his struggles pressing down on him. "You're risking everything by being involved with me," he said, "but I can't deny what I feel for you." Her heart raced at his admission, and she felt a surge of hope. "I feel it too," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. "We can figure this out together." "Meet me," he urged, his voice low and urgent. "I need to see you. There's so much we need to discuss." "Where?" she asked, her heart racing at the thought of seeing him again. "The rooftop of the hospital. I'll be waiting." As they hung up, Mia felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. The stakes were higher than ever, and she was stepping into a world that was filled with uncertainty. But she knew one thing for sure: she couldn't turn back now. The connection she shared with Victor was too powerful to ignore, and she was willing to face whatever dangers lay ahead for the chance to be with him. With her heart pounding in her chest, Mia made her way to the rooftop, the cool night air wrapping around her like a shroud. The city sprawled beneath her, a sea of lights twinkling in the darkness. She took a deep breath, her mind racing with thoughts of Victor and the challenges they would face together. As she stepped onto the rooftop, she spotted him standing at the edge, silhouetted against the skyline. His tall figure exuded strength, but she could see the weariness etched on his face. The moment their eyes met, a rush of emotions flooded through her: relief, longing, and an undeniable connection that drew her closer. "Victor," she breathed, her heart racing as she approached him. "You're okay." He turned to her, his expression softening as he took a step closer. "I'm better now that you're here." The tension between them was palpable, and Mia could feel the electric charge in the air. "I was worried," she admitted, her voice trembling slightly. "I didn't know if I'd see you again." "I won't let anything happen to you," he vowed, his voice low and intense. "But you need to understand the risks. My world is dangerous, and I can't protect you from everything." "I'm not afraid," she replied, her voice steady. "I want to be with you, Victor. I want to help you." He looked at her, his gaze piercing and filled with a mixture of admiration and concern. "You don't know what you're asking for." "Maybe not," she admitted, stepping closer. "But I'm willing to take that risk for you." In that moment, the distance between them evaporated, and Victor reached out, cupping her face in his hand. The warmth of his touch sent shivers down her spine, and she felt her heart race as he leaned in closer. "Mia," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. "You're the first person who's seen me for who I really am. I can't let you go." Before she could respond, he closed the distance between them, capturing her lips with his in a kiss that was filled with longing and desperation. It was a kiss that spoke of their shared fears, their hopes, and the undeniable connection that had formed between them. As they pulled away, breathless and wide-eyed, Mia felt a surge of determination. She knew their journey would be fraught with challenges, but she was ready to face them head-on. Together, they could navigate the darkness and find a way to forge a future that held the promise of love amidst the chaos. But as they stood on that rooftop, the city sprawling beneath them, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that their world was about to change forever. The stakes were higher than ever, and the path ahead was uncertain. Yet in Victor's arms, she felt a flicker of hope, a promise that they would face whatever came next together. Before you skip, just remember, channels like this only survive if you hit subscribe. Otherwise, stories like this one just disappear. As the city lights twinkled below, casting a soft glow over the rooftop, Mia felt a mix of exhilaration and dread. The kiss they had just shared lingered on her lips, igniting a fire within her that she had never experienced before. But the weight of their reality pressed heavily on her shoulders. Victor was not just a man she was falling for, he was a powerful figure in a world that was dark and dangerous. "Victor," she said softly, pulling away slightly to look into his eyes. "What happens now? I mean, really?" His expression shifted, the warmth in his gaze replaced by a flicker of concern. "Now, we prepare for what's coming. There are people who won't be happy to see us together." Mia's heart sank. She had known this, but hearing him say it made the danger feel more real. "I can't just walk away from you," she confessed, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. "I want to help you. I want to understand." Victor took a deep breath, his features hardening as he stepped back, creating a distance that felt both necessary and painful. "You think you understand, but you don't. My world is ruthless, Mia. People die for less than what you're asking." "I'm not afraid of your world," she replied defiantly, though a tremor of uncertainty crept into her voice. "I've seen my share of darkness. I've fought for lives every day. I can handle it." His eyes searched hers, as if trying to gauge the depth of her resolve. "It's not just about handling it, it's about surviving it, and I won't let you get hurt because of me." A silence fell between them, heavy with unspoken fears and desires. Mia could feel the tension crackling in the air, a mix of attraction and impending danger. "You're not going to push me away, Victor. I'm here, and I'm not going anywhere." He looked away, the conflict evident on his face. "You should go," he murmured, almost to himself. "You don't know what you're asking for." But Mia stepped forward, closing the gap once more. "I know enough to realize that I care about you. I want to be part of your life, even if it's complicated." Victor's gaze returned to hers, and for a moment, the world around them faded. "You have no idea what you're getting into," he warned, though his voice lacked the conviction to truly push her away. "Then show me," she challenged, her heart racing. "Let me in. Let me help you." Before he could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed from the stairwell, breaking the fragile moment. Victor's expression hardened, and he instinctively moved closer to her as if to shield her from an unseen threat. "Stay behind me," he ordered, his tone shifting to one of authority. Mia nodded, her heart pounding as she instinctively obeyed. She could feel the tension in the air as Victor's men emerged onto the rooftop, their faces set with concern. The atmosphere shifted, and she could sense the protective aura surrounding Victor as he stood tall, ready to confront whatever was coming. "Boss!" one of the men exclaimed, rushing toward them. "We were looking everywhere for you. We thought—" "I'm fine," Victor interrupted, his voice low and commanding. "What's the situation?" The man hesitated, glancing at Mia before continuing. "There's been a breach. The rival gang is moving in, and they're looking for you." Mia's stomach dropped at the mention of danger. "What does that mean?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "It means we need to leave," Victor replied, his focus shifting back to her. "Now." "No," she protested, stepping forward. "I'm not going to run. I want to help you fight this." "Help?" Victor's expression darkened. "You think you can help? You'll only get yourself killed." The intensity of his words stung, But Mia stood her ground. "I'm not afraid of them. I've faced challenges before, and I won't let fear dictate my actions now. If you're in danger, I'm in danger too." Victor's eyes narrowed, a storm brewing beneath the surface. "You don't understand. This isn't a game. These people don't play by the rules." "Then let's break the rules together," she urged, her voice steady. "I'm not leaving your side. Not now, not ever." He studied her for a moment, his expression torn between admiration and frustration. "You're making this harder than it needs to be." "Maybe," she admitted, "but I can't just walk away. I care about you, Victor. I want to be part of your fight." The tension in the air thickened as Victor's men exchanged glances, unsure of how to respond to the unfolding drama. "Boss, we need to move," one of them insisted, anxiety creeping into his voice. Victor's jaw clenched, and he took a step closer to Mia, his voice dropping to a whisper. "You have to trust me. I'll protect you." "I trust you," she replied, her heart racing. "But I won't hide, not anymore." A flicker of something passed through his eyes, perhaps respect, perhaps fear for her safety. "Then stay close to me. Whatever happens, don't stray from my side." With that, they began to move, the urgency of the situation propelling them forward. Mia's heart raced as they descended the stairs, the tension palpable in the narrow corridor. She could feel Victor's presence beside her, a constant reminder of the danger that lurked just beyond their reach. As they reached the ground floor, the atmosphere shifted. The once bustling hospital was now eerily quiet, the chaos of the emergency room a distant memory. Mia's instincts kicked in, her training as a nurse guiding her through the uncertainty. She was no longer just a caregiver. She was a partner in a fight for survival. "Where do we go?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Out the back," Victor replied, his tone clipped as he led the way. "We have a car waiting." As they maneuvered through the darkened hallways, Mia couldn't shake the feeling that they were being watched. The adrenaline coursed through her veins, heightening her senses as they approached the exit. But just as they reached the door, the sound of footsteps echoed behind them, growing louder with each passing second. "Victor!" one of his men shouted, urgency lacing his voice. "They're coming!" Without thinking, Victor grabbed Mia's hand, pulling her close as they dashed through the door and into the cool night air. The city sprawled before them, a maze of shadows and light, but there was no time to admire the view. They sprinted toward the waiting car, the sound of footsteps echoing behind them, a reminder of the danger that was hot on their heels. Mia's heart raced as they reached the vehicle, and Victor quickly ushered her inside before climbing in himself. The driver wasted no time, slamming the door shut and speeding away from the hospital. The city blurred past them, a whirlwind of lights and sounds, but Mia's focus remained on Victor. "Are you okay?" she asked, concern etched on her face as she looked at him. He nodded, though the tension in his jaw betrayed his unease. "I'm fine. Just stay low." As they sped through the streets, Mia's mind raced with questions. What's going to happen now? Are we safe? "For now," Victor replied, his gaze fixed on the road ahead. "But we need to be careful. They won't stop until they find me." Mia swallowed hard, her heart pounding as she processed the gravity of the situation. "I won't let them take you," she vowed, her voice steady despite the fear swirling inside her. Victor turned to her, his expression softening for a brief moment. "You're brave, Mia, but bravery doesn't always lead to safety." "I don't care about safety," she insisted, her determination shining through. "I care about you." His gaze lingered on her, a mixture of admiration and worry etched across his features. "You're playing with fire, and I don't want you to get burned." "I'm already in the fire," she replied, her voice unwavering, "and I'm not backing down." The car took a sharp turn, and Mia felt the rush of adrenaline surge through her. They were in this together, and she wouldn't let fear dictate her actions. Victor was worth the risk, worth the fight. As they drove deeper into the heart of the city, the atmosphere shifted. The tension in the car was palpable, and Mia could sense the urgency in Victor's movements. He was a man on the edge, and she was determined to stand by him, no matter what lay ahead. "Where are we going?" Mia asked, breaking the silence that had settled over them. "To a safe house," he replied, his voice steady. "It's not far from here." "Will we be safe there?" she pressed, her concern evident. "For now," he said, his tone clipped. "But we need to stay vigilant. I can't let my guard down." Mia nodded, her heart racing as they approached a nondescript building nestled between towering structures. The driver pulled into a secluded alley, and Victor's men quickly exited the car, scanning the surroundings for any signs of danger. "Stay close," Victor instructed, his voice low as he opened the door and stepped out. Mia followed suit, her heart pounding as they moved toward the entrance of the building. Inside, the atmosphere was tense, the air thick with the weight of unspoken fears. Victor led the way, his presence commanding, as they navigated through the dimly lit hallways. Mia could feel the adrenaline coursing through her veins, the thrill of danger mingling with the fear of the unknown. As they reached a secure room, Victor turned to her, his expression serious. "You need to understand something, Mia. This is not just a game. If they find us here, it could end badly." "I know," she replied, her voice steady. "But I'm not going anywhere. I'm with you, no matter what." He studied her for a moment, a mixture of admiration and concern reflected in his gaze. "You're stronger than I thought," he admitted, a hint of a smile tugging at the corners of his lips. "But strength alone won't keep you safe." "I'm willing to fight for you," she declared, her determination unwavering. "I won't let fear control my life." Victor's expression softened, and for a fleeting moment, she saw the vulnerability beneath his tough exterior. "I wish things were different," he said quietly. "I wish I could give you a normal life." "Normal is overrated," Mia replied, stepping closer. "I want to be part of your world, even if it's dangerous." He reached out, brushing a strand of hair behind her ear, his touch sending a shiver down her spine. "You have no idea what you're asking for." "Then show me," she urged, her heart racing as their eyes locked. "Let me in." Before he could respond, the sound of footsteps echoed outside the door, breaking the moment. Victor's expression shifted, and he instinctively moved to block her from view. "Stay behind me," he ordered, his voice low and commanding. Mia nodded, her heart pounding as she pressed against the wall, her breath held in anticipation. The door creaked open, and Victor's men filed in, their faces tense with urgency. "Boss, we need to prepare," one of them said, his voice filled with anxiety. "They're closing in." Victor turned to Mia, his expression serious. "Whatever happens, stay close to me. Don't stray from my side." Mia nodded, her heart pounding as she pressed against the wall, her breath held in anticipation. The door creaked open, and Victor's men filed in, their faces tense with urgency. "Boss, we need to prepare," one of them said, his voice filled with anxiety. "They're closing in." Victor turned to Mia, his expression serious. "Whatever happens, stay close to me. Don't stray from my side." Mia nodded, her heart pounding as she pressed against the wall, her breath held in anticipation. The door creaked open, and Victor's men filed in, their faces tense with urgency. "Boss, we need to prepare," one of them said, his voice filled with anxiety. "They're closing in." Victor turned to Mia, his expression serious. "Whatever happens, stay close to me. Don't stray from my side." Mia nodded, her heart pounding as she pressed against the wall, her breath held in anticipation. The door creaked open, and Victor's men filed in, their faces tense with urgency. "Boss, we need to prepare," one of them said, his voice filled with anxiety. "They're closing in." Victor turned to Mia, his expression serious. "Whatever happens, stay close to me. Don't stray from my side." Mia nodded, determination coursing through her. She was ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead, ready to fight for the man she cared about. Together, they would navigate the darkness, and she wouldn't let fear dictate her choices. As the preparations began, Mia felt a sense of purpose wash over her. She was no longer just a nurse, she was a partner in a fight for survival. And as long as Victor was by her side, she was willing to face whatever came next. The tension in the room grew as they strategized, every moment heavy with the weight of uncertainty. But amidst the chaos, Mia found solace in Victor's presence, the connection between them deepening as they prepared to confront the danger that loomed on the horizon. In that moment, she knew they were in this together, bound by a shared determination to fight for their future, no matter the cost. The stakes were high, but so was their resolve. And as the night wore on, Mia felt a flicker of hope, a promise that they would face whatever came next, united in their fight against the darkness.